Ladies and gentlemen, it's a huge honor for us to participate on the IBANESS conference. Please let me introduce the three authors of this study, Ms. Adrienn Bartha, Mr. Viktor Kéri, and the third one, Emőke Kanda, and I will be the presenter. As you can see, the title of work is Psychosocial Security, Human Capital and Competitiveness in a Structural Approach to the Gender and Generational Dimensions of Workplace Psychological Terror. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, please let me share with you the introduction. I divided this presentation into three parts. Firstly, I would like to say a few words about the definition and methodology. Secondly, we will see the frequency of mobbing, generation and gender aspects, and then the legal side of mobbing. Thirdly, I would like to demonstrate the economic consequences and to share conclusions. By the end of this presentation, you will have a better understanding of mobbing. Then moving on to the methodology. Please let me share with you the purpose of our study. As you can see, our keywords and a few words about methodology. The aim of our work is to reveal the economic consequences of workplace mobbing. As you can see, there are written three levels: macro, meso, and micro level. Our work is a qualitative analysis based on secondary research using an interdisciplinary approach. Please let me talk about the definition of mobbing. Workplace mobbing, also known as psychological terror at work, has been studied since the late 20th century, mainly through the research of Hans Lehmann. We use this term mobbing to describe a process that happens at least once a week, lasts for a minimum 6 months, and includes at least one of the typical behaviors defined by Lehmann. Moving on to our next slide, which is frequency of this phenomenon. After all this information, we are ready to see data from several studies that demonstrates the frequency of workplace mobbing in different countries. As you can see, in Germany is 2.7% of employees. In Sweden is 3 to 4%. On the top of that, the suicide risk is between 10 and 20%. And according to WBI, which means Work Bullying Institute in the United States, it's 22%. And Hungary, about 8%. This brings us to the next slide. Frequency in Hungary. I would like to draw your attention to the details of this last study. In Hungary, in 2022 study found that almost 1 in 10 employees in tourism and hospitality faced mobbing. In education, it was about 6.5%. In the healthcare, around 6% of employees reported similar experiences. As I mentioned in the introduction, I will demonstrate the gender side of mobbing. Hungarian and international studies definitely demonstrates that most of victims are women. Who is the mobber? Dear gentlemen, I truly apologize, but according to results of WBI, the answer is the man. There is a large difference between genders. Male bullies 71%, female bullies 29%. The data clearly shows gender differences in mobbing. Most bullies are men, while women are less often the perpetrators, but still appear in significant numbers. It's also clear that women are more often the targets of mobbing, while men are more often the perpetrators. Moving on to the perception of psychological safety by generation, this table clearly shows how different generations and groups perceive psychological safety at work. We can see that younger generation as well as men report feeling safer than women or retired people. The result shows clear differences between generations. Generation Z and millennials feels slightly safer than Generation X and baby boomers. Working people report a higher sense of safety compared to retired people. There is also a gender gap. Men feel significantly safer than women. Overall, these differences highlight that psychological safety is not equal across groups. After all this information, we will see the legal side of mobbing. First of all, I would like to demonstrate the Hungarian situation. In Hungary, researchers have also studied the legal side of mobbing, and the results are quite clear. There are no legal definition of this phenomenon. Even in court, mobbing was also referred to by description. And now let me share with you the results of WBI. The survey shows the very large majority, 87%, support creating a new law to protect workers against mobbing, going beyond current non-discrimination rules. Most of them, about 2/3, support it very strongly. Moving on to our next slide, which is stress. Turning to the third session of our presentation, let me share with you that since there are no reliable data on the cost of mobbing, I will demonstrate to you the impact through the well-documented economic consequences of stress. I can say with confidence that mobbing shouldn't be confused with stress, although mobbing can be an important source of stress. The data shows a clear upward trend over time. This figure shows how stress at work has been increasing over the last decade. While about 1/3 of employee reported stress in 2009, by 2020, this number had grown more than 40%. This data leads us to our next slide, which is economic consequences of workplace stress. In the European Union, workplace stress represents a massive financial burden each year. The costs include healthcare expenses and lost productivity. OECD data show the mental health decline alone can exceed 4% of GDP. These numbers underlie why workplace stress and mobbing are economic as well as human problems. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of presentation, I would like to share with you our conclusions. Mobbing reduces commitment and productivity, leads to health damage and GDP level losses. Women, especially leaders, are most exposed to hidden harassment. Generation Z employees show different psychosocial sensitivity requiring new organizational responses. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your kind attention. Have a beautiful day.